Do you think people are a product of their environment? That's the topic of today. I believe that people are a product of their environment, but I believe that you get to choose the environment that you're in. And even if you can't choose the environment that you're in, you get to choose mentally where you are as far as the stuff you're surrounding yourself with. Um, I feel like there's a lot of things that people use as excuses to say their environment is the way that they are and the success or failures that they have. And I feel like people can definitely choose to go above and beyond the bad environment that they're in, or even go below the good environment that they're in. So I feel like you have a choice, but I do believe you are a product of your environment. But what do you think? What you feel like?
I just feel it just depends on where your mental is and how strong you are, and like what do you allow? Really, like what do you allow? So then it makes you wonder, how is your environment? Are you in an environment that's like helping you achieve and accomplish goals? Or are you one that's constantly holding you back and setting you up for failure?
So what's your take on that? Like, how do you answer that question for yourself?
Um, Now I will say I am in that environment that's going to help me achieve and reach the success, what success looks like for me. But at the time, I was around people who weren't productive. I wasn't the smartest. I was around like people who just didn't want what I wanted in life. So I knew I had to separate myself. So it took time where I had to separate myself and be alone, and I had to really discover what I wanted, what success was for me. I had to surround myself around people that motivated and inspired me, people that were gonna like, ooh, hold me to the standard and just make sure every day like I valued the goals, and just being around successful people kind of helped me a lot. So I will say now I am around an environment that will like help me succeed. Damn.
So when you was in that bad environment, uh, like what was the things like? Why would you call it a bad environment?
I just wasn't productive. Like my days just didn't consist of nothing productive. I just kind of just was wasting time. Like really. I didn't have
Yeah.
nothing I wanted. I didn't know what my passions was. I didn't know like what my purpose is. And I wouldn't say I fully know what my purpose is now, but I will say
Hmm.
like my whole mindset changed. Like my mindset's not what it was 2 years ago. Every day
Yeah.
I'm trying to improve. Like self improvement is like my main focus. I'm not
Yeah.
attracted to the things I was. I'm not hanging. I don't hang around to certain people. I don't even talk how I did. My diet changed. Just like everything about me changed. Like I had a big like a self evaluation with myself, and just
Hmm.
wrote down and just decided what I wanted for myself, and I knew where I was at in life. It wasn't what I wasn't doing the things that I needed to be at that level I wanted to be. So that's what kind of made me realize like, okay, I need to change like myself and my environment.
Yeah. So in your environment, obviously, your environment was Maslin, Canton, right? Like
Yeah.
Maslin, Canton area, 330. Uh, and it's just like I came from the same environment. Obviously, we cousins. And it's crazy because I seen it like as a different view, or I've had different views of the Canton and Maslin environment because of fucking living with Angel, like living with my
Yeah.
mom, living with Angel, living with my dad, living with his first wife. It's just like I moved hella times. I went to I think I went to like 12, 13 different schools from preschool to Maslin until I got to Maslin. Maslin was the longest I stayed at one school. But obviously the environment was the same as far as Canton and Maslin being around the same shit. I mean, shit, we was around each other on accident with my dad
Man,
and your stepdad knowing each other, and end up finding out like, yo, I'm kicking it with my cousin. I didn't even know
man.
that they
I
knew
was
each
just there
other.
with somebody. Didn't
But
even know, and I was just saying, like, I remember your mom would call and be like, what up?" And I'd be like, "Oh, what up?" Not even knowing, like, "Oh, that's my cousin." Not even knowing. Crazy.
So what you think the biggest thing as far as like the environment back home of what had you like just not reaching your potential or your purposes or whatever?
I will say like,
Or
and
not
this
the
is more of like
biggest,
a
I would
personal.
say, but like bigger or like what's one of the
Yeah.
main things?
One is like the mental, and I feel like it's like no standard. And I don't
Yeah.
want to like kind of like dog nobody back home or like speak down on nobody, but like
Mhm.
it's just like no standard. Like everybody being average is okay. And like I knew
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like average. I knew I didn't want to be just like a normal person, just living a basic regular life. I knew I wanted more than master and in Canton.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing. Like there's no standard set. And people were okay with just, working and just living a regular job. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm speaking down on nobody, acting like I'm better than nobody. But for my
Yeah.
personal and like for my where I see myself, I knew I didn't want to live like that. So I would say like it's just a standard, and like there's no, it's no, what's the word? It's like no, I can't even think of it, but it's like no expectation. There's nobody to watch and be
Expectation.
like, okay, I want to be like him. When you really think about it, and of course you
Yeah.
have the ones like, all right, bro, he get money, I want to be like that with money, or he do this, that, and the third. But like for I wanted
Mhm.
for myself, there's like nothing. There wasn't nothing up there. Like so,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
It's crazy because as you saying that, I'm just thinking and thinking and thinking, and I knew you was gonna say it. No expectation, and it's just like for you, there wasn't none because you a trainer, and you was the first trainer for football. The shit that I know of in Ohio, and like stuff that you was figuring out once you start finding yourself, and you find out you want to be a trainer. It's like where would the expectation come from? There was no trainers in Ohio. So that kind of makes sense of like how you felt, because it's just like nobody was doing what you wanted to do. But I feel like that helped you shape out like what you wanted to do and what you love now, because you say you love training and it shows. But it's like having no expectation, nobody look up to. Is still you found a way to like find your potential and find your purpose and what you wanted to do, how you wanted to give back and help kids with this training shit. So that's a good thing that you found your way out. I feel like me personally, as far as the environment I was in so many, like I said, I always think about like my friends, like that I went to high school with, my friends before high school, and it's just like they went to McKinley or Timken or Glen Oak. We all was still kicking it around each other, but like you said when we was talking a couple of days ago, like once I got to Massillon, it was like a different aspect, and I wasn't kicking it with my old friends as much. And it's just like all the ones that ended up going to jail or being street dudes or drug dealing or getting shot or whatever, anything, all that shit. Like, it's like, damn, we grew up in the same neighborhood and shit. Some of them even went to Massillon with me, but it's just like we all ended on different paths. And it's just like not one person ended on the path that I did. And not to say I'm better than anybody or anything. I've never said that. You know, I'm humble. But it's just like we all had the same opportunities or similar. I wouldn't say the same, but we all had similar opportunities. And it's just like your environment, it was a product of your environment. Like the people who chose to go back to doing what everybody else was doing or doing the same shit, like being in the streets, selling drugs, whatever. And it's just like, I don't understand, or I couldn't understand at the time, like why I would even like be around that. And it's just like I had no choice. So that's what people say, they are a product of their environment. But it's just like I was around it and I did have a choice to not be that way or not end up like the same people. So like I feel like my environment changed. And then I think seeing success from Angel, my stepmom, was like kind of part of that. I mean, obviously my mom, she like raised me and like showed me how to be a man, like, and show me responsibility and all that. So and show me how to work hard. Um, and she didn't have like a crazy amount of success as far as in people's eyes, but like I feel like she was successful because she was just doing everything she could and showing me like to never give up. And that was like the biggest thing for me. Like her resiliency is what I stand on. I stand on resiliency, and that's what I got that shit tatted on my hand, like, and it's right above her name, like, because that shit stuck with me forever. So seeing that side of it, which is crazy, because it's like seeing all that, we still was struggling or whatever. We still moved hella times because and live with people, stay with other people, whatever. But I never complained or nothing because I knew she was just trying to make a better way for me. But then also living with Angel, my stepmom, she had money and all this shit, and like just would be buying things and like had the big house and like had like the nice things and all that stuff. But I mean, obviously, she worked hard for her shit. Like she never went to college, but she ended up with a good job, and she always worked hard, and she takes her job serious, and she's always like just making sure all her shit is straight, um, at work and at home. So like seeing that different side of it motivated me as well. Uh, and then obviously, I ended up going to college and going to the league and doing stuff, but it's just like I had different environments and I could have easily chose to be the same way that other people was that I grew up with, but I didn't. So it's just like I believe in the product of the environment, but I believe you got a choice on what you want to do with that environment or what you surround yourself with. Because I mean, we both now that we in Houston, uh, we don't talk as much to the people back home. Uh, definitely don't see them as much because they ain't coming down here. We ain't going back home. So it's just like we don't even surround ourselves with that negativity no more. So I feel like it's definitely helped.
And then when you do like sit and think about like the things that we talked about and like like how we stay strong and eventually got to the point to where we could fully move and be around the success fully. Just listening to like you speak and then just listening to like and how we always talk about it. Um, like don't let your geographical location determine your life success, and don't let it determine your mental state.